What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 10, Stolen. Oh boy. Things are heating up they should be. We are 3 episodes from the end of the series, and it's getting exciting. First of all, if you happen to hear thunder, I apologize, but I can't control the weather. But no, this episode was really, really good. First of all, bringing back a character from the first season with the son of the actor that played that character, which I think is really well done, because honestly, as soon as I saw this guy, I'm thinking he looks like a young Bill Paxton to me. And then I look it up, I'm like, okay, whoever this is, like obviously it's going to be John Garrett again, but whoever this is looks so much like Bill Paxton. Are they related? And it's his son. I'm like, that's a good choice. And like, yeah, he carries over a lot of his mannerisms, and honestly, just in the face, they look a lot alike, especially when he smiles. Like, I'm just like, that's a Paxton smile. Ironically enough, when I looked up his info, he was born 2 days after me. Like, not just day and month, I'm talking year too. I'm like, okay, so he's like, I'm 2 days older than him. It's a weird factoid. But anyways, no, this episode overall really gets the adrenaline going. There's so many different moving pieces. S.H.I.E.L.D. moving Nathaniel to her whim, how she wants him. There are certain things that I do kind of wonder how much of this is what has been seen by Sybil. Like whenever Nathaniel kills Jaine, was that part of the plan? Because it seems like that's going to cause Daisy to react in such a way that would upset their plans. Because now, she's going to be so gearing to kill Nathaniel that I feel like that's not what he was supposed to do. And it does feel like sometimes Nathaniel isn't really the best person for Sybil to be using, because he is kind of a loose cannon. Like, you don't really know what to expect from him. And so I wonder if that moment is going to be one where Sybil's going to be like, well, crud, you just opened up a ton of new possibilities that we could have kept closed if you just kept her alive. But also, because of how time travel works, and I'm not really sure if this is going to be the case, but it feels like, okay, so he's killed Jiaying, and she hasn't had Daisy yet. So, based on how time travel works in the Marvel Universe, I think she's still alive, technically, because she's a Daisy from a different time period when Jiaying wasn't killed. But at the same time, the way they're moving forward in time, it feels like they're following the same time stream, at least. So when she gets back to the present, she's going to get to a present where she never existed. So what does that mean? Like, I don't... It has a lot of implications, and I don't know if they're going to explore it at all, or if it's just going to be she gets back to the present and it's like, oh, Daisy, you no longer exist in this time period. And neither does Sousa, so you guys are just going to become new people? Maybe? I don't know. I hope they explore that a little bit, because it is an interesting concept. And again, it's good that they've set up this sort of basis for time travel where they can make these changes. They can do stuff like this, and it's not going to, like, in Legends of Tomorrow, if they went back and killed somebody's parent, that person would cease to exist, because that's how they set up the rules of time travel. And even that one scene where Constantine tries to kick his dad in the nuts so he won't be born, he can't do it because it would cause like a weird, it's an anomaly. You can't go back and keep yourself from being born, because then you wouldn't be able to go back and keep yourself from being born. So the time travel there works much more like it's all interconnected. This time travel is much more, whatever you do in the past creates branching realities instead of you go back and change your own past. So I like that they've set that basis so that way they can play around with this a little bit and do stuff like kill Jiaying and kind of throw everything into a loop. Like, holy crap, what are you going to do next? Because that's the thing, is like, they've already showed they're willing to kill off some people in the past. They killed off Mac's parents, for instance. So it was kind of making me wonder, are they going to kill Jiaying before she's had Daisy? Because is that going to cause a mess? Is that going to cause you to have to rethink how you're doing time travel? And then Nathaniel just does it. And I'm like, okay, so you're willing to make that choice. Good on you, writers. Like, it keeps things much more interesting. It keeps things much more intense, because you don't know what to expect now. Like, they could do whatever they want. They're already showing how messed up the timeline is with how everything is like progressed so much quicker in Shield, and I don't really know if that has anything to do with what's going on with Sybil's plan. Um, it kind of feels like she's been helping Shield get to these Hydra plots much quicker. I don't really know why though, and I'm wondering how much of what she's trying to use Hydra for is basically destroying Shield because like they've said before, Shield seems to be one thing stopping anything the Chronicoms want to do, and at least in her predictions. And of course, at the end of the episode, we also see that Fitz has a lot to do with this. And I think more than Fitz Simmons working together is kind of what really hinders the Chronicoms' plans in her predictions, which makes sense. But based on how Simmons reacted, there is kind of a question of, is Fitz still alive? Where is Fitz? Why was Simmons freaking out at the end of last episode? I really hope there's a good explanation that's not just he's dead. Because I don't know. I feel like for that reaction, it's got to be something bad. It can't just be like, oh, well, I was crying tears of joy because I remembered where he was. No, like those were fear and sorrow tears. So it's got to be something bad, but I feel like if you're just like, oh, he's dead, when we were working on all of this stuff, he died in the process, and so I erased my memory so I would forget because I wasn't able to function without that, or something along those lines. I don't know. If again, the fact that I've not gotten Fitz at all in the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is already a little upsetting. And so if they decided to kill off his character, I'd be kind of pissed, you know? So we'll see what happens there. I'm assuming they're going to find out she put the implant in next episode and probably work on getting it out. I don't know why I'm so tired. I've been holding back yawns this whole review. I don't know why. It's not even late. It's like noon. Maybe I need food. Probably have to eat before the next episode. But yeah, I mean, it's a good setup though. All of the different parts of the episode that kind of moved it along felt like they really interconnected well. Between the team going to the afterlife. Forgot the name for a second. Between them going there and it is kind of funny if they had Sin and Yo-Yo. How would that have affected things? Did Sybil see that as part of the prediction, but it was more likely that they weren't going to send her in just in case she got caught because they didn't want her to lose her powers. Because it seems like, in at least the greatest prediction was Coulson goes in with Gordon and they appear in that exact spot. And I'm just kind of like, how does she do that? How does she make these predictions if she can see all of these different possibilities? Why is it that 94% is them landing there? Like, I don't know. I know they're not going to explain how she knows all this stuff, aside from just she has the time stream and she sees all these possibilities. But I would like a little bit more explanation on some of these. Oh, there's a 94% chance you were going to do that. But why? When they've got Yo-Yo who has more control over her powers and could literally just run in, and basically she could run in and take Nathaniel out like that. Just run and slit his throat if she wanted to. So why isn't that more of a possibility? Her Yo-Yo going in. Why was the biggest possibility Coulson going in with Gordon? Like that, I don't know. It seems like there are a lot of different chances and a lot of different things that they could have done instead. So it's why I'm kind of sitting here going, why was that 94%? Like, could we get an explanation as to that? Could we get an explanation as to what constitutes more of a percentage? What constitutes how they're getting beaten? Like, I don't know. I don't think we'll get much more of an explanation as to how everything's happening, but I guess the logical side of my brain is wanting more. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode, though. As far as there's other little things going on. Jiaying and Daisy, Daisy getting to reconnect with her and see her for who she was before Hydra basically tortured her and changed who she was, which was a nice moment. And then stuff with John Garrett fighting with May, and a little bit more chemistry between Daisy and Sousa, which was nice. Deke, we see him interacting with Gemma a little bit, trying to find out what's going on with Fitz, and he ends up on the Zephyr. So there was a lot of different stuff, but all of it was good. It was moving the plot forward, and it's exciting stuff, and yeah, it's getting me hyped for the end of the season. So that's it for this episode. On to the next one. See you there. And now episode 11, Brand New Day. So I think I figured out, now that the series is almost over, I think I figured out why I typically enjoy the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. relationships more than pretty much anything on any of the CW DC shows. And it's because they handle them so much better. The writing, the moments that they choose to sort of break up the action with it, it's all handled so well. I mean, the conversation between first Daisy and Mac was well done, and it had me laughing. And then later on, Mac talking to Sousa was hilarious. I'm dying laughing. And they're addressing this chemistry between the two of them, and even later on in the episode, right before everything goes to hell, we see that little back and forth between Sousa and Daisy, and they have the chemistry, and he's picking on her a little bit because of the Quake name. I mean, it's all so well done. It's funny. It breaks up the action perfectly. It's not like interrupting everything going on. It's like, oh, okay, well, I know this was really exciting, but let's take about 10 minutes to talk about each other's feelings. Like, they make it lighthearted. They actually address, what's going on, and they talk about it in a clever and mature way. It's not some stupid thing where it's like, we're going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes talking about how this all makes us feel. And, oh my gosh, I just don't know, but he's so good looking, and, oh, but does he like me? I just don't know. Like, it's not soap opera drama. It's not stupid teen stuff. It's actual life, and it's written so well, and just it's what makes the show great. But on top of all of that, all of this stuff moving forward in this episode really has me on the edge of my seat. And it was funny because I'm kind of used to, whenever I watch something, I'll have something on the side that I'm doing, just sort of like, because sometimes shows don't keep my interest, and there are times whenever I just find myself sort of pulling up my phone and I'll just scroll on social media while the episode's going on, because whatever it is, I'm waiting for a scene to end, or it feels like it's dragging out something too long. I tend to find myself doing that, normally to keep myself from ending up on social media, because I don't want to end up depressed. I pull up some game that I can sort of play on the side while I'm watching. I'm not doing that anymore. Like, beginning of this season, I was doing that a little bit. Now I'm not, because I don't feel like I can. I don't feel like I can take my eyes away from the screen, because I need to know what happens next. And it's a great feeling to have. But yeah, all of the decisions made, you have Daisy deciding to go against their predictability, or what they would normally do in any given situation, which, I don't know, that's kind of what I had the first thought of, because I feel like they've done this before, where they do something that they normally wouldn't to get one up on the bad guy, because the bad guy expects them to do this, and so they do something else instead, and that wins them the day. And so I kind of figured that their unpredictability is what S.H.I.E.L.D. was counting on, which would mean that they should do what it looked like they should do. I don't know. I thought they were going to flip the script a little bit. So when you get to this episode and Daisy like, no, we need to do what we wouldn't do, which means I'm going to go up there. And Sousa, you would normally just stay here, so why don't you come with me? Actually leave your post. And then Mac is like, oh, I'm the director. Normally I would say, hell no. But today I'm saying, hell yes. I liked the scene, and it was nice, but I do kind of wish we'd played around a little bit more with like this idea of, okay, well, Nathaniel just killed Jiaying, which means Daisy's gonna be acting rashly. So maybe in this moment, the predictable thing to do would be to just go after them and, do the unpredictable thing. So maybe this time don't do the unpredictable thing and do what you normally should be doing. That would throw them off a little bit. But whatever the case, That's not what they're doing. They're going to fly up there. It does kind of feel like they failed to stop her now. Because all the ships are here and they're already taking out most of the shield bases. So even if they manage to save like 2 or 3, shield is very fractured, and I don't know how long it can stay going after this. It does feel very weird that, again, we talked about how, or they talked about how things were moving ahead of schedule with like Project Insight, and then the Triskelion was up and running. It felt like she was trying to build up Shield, or at least Hydra inside of Shield, to help take it out. And then all of a sudden she's like, actually, you know what? Let's just bring our ships over and we'll just nuke their bases. And it's just like, okay, why did you do all this extra stuff then? Like building up Nathaniel, and I don't know. It felt like all the stuff with Shield was a little unnecessary. But we see, everything going on with Korra. Don't really know how to feel about it yet. It felt like they spent a lot of time trying to win her over, and then at the end of the episode, she's just like, no, I don't want to, and then goes up with Nathaniel, and that's kind of where she is. I don't know. It seemed like they were really building up that by the end of this episode, she would finally have changed her mind, and then she didn't. And it's like, then why do we spend all that time trying to change her mind? Like, maybe she still will by the end of the season, and I kind of had a feeling that she might kill Nathaniel and kind of take over for herself, because she's like, you killed my mom, like, for no real reason. But I don't know what to expect now from her. Like, if they spent all that time trying to change her and then she just didn't, I feel like we kind of wasted an episode with her. It's just how it is. And honestly, like, I was kind of hoping that May would even figure out, like, oh, okay, well, I've got these powers to know how people are feeling. Maybe I can use that to my advantage. And then she just never really did. Like, at least it didn't feel that way. It didn't never feel like she was getting through to her. It didn't ever feel like she was using those powers to her advantage. It always just felt like she was just kind of doing the typical May thing. So I'm like, I don't know. What was all that about? Like, she didn't really use it in the end. And then Garrett shows up and takes her away. So it kind of felt like there was a lot building up that didn't really come to fruition in this episode. And I don't really know if we're going to see it come to fruition the rest of this season. The stuff with Gemma. So we see that it's looking more and more likely that Fitz is gone. Apparently they did some blood work, which means they found something that was probably killing him. And they have the conversation about putting the implant in, and Fitz talks about it like, when you put this implant in, it's going to keep you from remembering, which is going to, if you remember this, it's going to make it to where you can't do the work properly. So it sounds like it is kind of what I was thinking, which I was hoping they weren't going to do, where Fitz died, and so to forget about his death so she could work well and she could get the job done and get the time machine working to go back, she forgot about his death. I don't know. I mean, we did get some Fitz in this episode, but if he's dead, then I kind of feel cheated. I feel like, okay, so we don't get Fitzsimmons at the end of the season. And also, this blood work, right? Like, this is always apparently a thing, so how come we saw him in that one scene later on, living inside the lighthouse after the world was torn apart? He appeared to live for a while and at least live long enough to where he and Simmons had a kid. But now we're seeing that he has blood work that apparently killed him off earlier than expected, it looks like. So how did that happen? Because based on how they're talking, it sounds like he wouldn't have had long anyway. So would he have had long enough to live in that one future? Like, I don't know. I hope they explain this better. Maybe this is all kind of a ruse where, maybe it is altering her memories. Of course, now she gets out of the thing and she's like, who's Fitz? I'm just kind of like, wait, what? What is happening? So I don't really know what's going on. I'm very confused by all of this, and it kind of feels like we're supposed to maybe be confused. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to really understand what's happening, but they're making it seem like Fitz is gone and Simmons put the implant in to forget him. But if so, then I need to know how this blood work, whatever it is that killed him, I'm going to need to know how that didn't kill him in a different timeline. Like, why is this blood work different? Is it something that happened whenever they went out in space and were doing all this stuff there? Like, did something happen there that affected him, and then when he came back, he was now sick and he was dying? Like, I need to know. You're gonna have to explain that, or else that's a huge plot hole. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's a good setup for the 2-part season finale, and yeah, I'm excited. It's looking good. It's looking exciting. It's obviously people have already died, so I don't know exactly how they're gonna stop them now. Because I mean, the way they were taking out those shield bases, it feels like it's gonna be done in like 10 more seconds. So I don't know how they're gonna stop them from destroying every single shield base, unless they're just shield agents that weren't there, and so they're gonna rebuild shield that way. But I do like the concept. Something else that I just remembered. I do like the concept that they're now saying this is a new timeline, and of course, they proved that several times with Max still remembering his parents, and obviously now Daisy is still alive, even though Jiaying didn't have her in this timeline. So they're living in a new timeline. Now, what does that mean? How are they going to utilize that? I don't know. But I like this concept because now they're living in a new time, which kind of explains for why we're not going to see them in any of the Marvel movies, which, yeah, it makes sense. Although I've heard that Chloe Bennett is going to be a part of some future project, or at least she's rumored to be. Maybe not. But I don't know. But yeah, that's it for this episode. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'll see you guys at the final review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ever. I don't know if I'm ready. Peace out.